Hello, this is Tony, and today I'm going to start going through the basics of ATS, the Advanced Towwork System. ATS is a tactical system that covers squad level combat from American Civil War to the Vietnam War. Most of the modules take place during World War II, and these are the rules that we will be focusing on. I'll be using the 4.4442 rules with this. There are some possible changes in the future, but generally all the main points that I'm going to be going through will be the same. This first video is going to be focused on the personnel counters. We have our squads, our crews, single man counters, or 1 SP counters, and then the leaders as well. So let's take a look and let's get dig into some detail on the anatomy of these counters. Let's take a look at the squad counters first. You will see that there are two sides. There is your full squad, and then there is the reduced side. There are 4 steps to every squad. There is a full squad, one with a casualty. You flip it over, so then you have a half of a squad. You can add one more casualty to that before it's erased. Let's take a look at some of the numbers on the squads here. So the first number is the gunfire factor. Now I have 3 German squads and I have 2 American squads, and you can see there are quite a bit of difference depending on the scenarios. You will use different ones depending on the quality of the troops. The first case, this German. So these are some of the older counters that are out there. They are still valid. They still have all the correct information on them. And they'll be used for certain modules. So the first number is the gunfire factor. So in this case, this German has a 7 gunfire factor. This one has a 6, and this one has a 5. The second number is the range, how many hexes it can fire away. So again, you have 5 range for the first one, 5 range for the second one, and 4 range for the third one. And the final number is their troop morale, which we'll be getting into in a separate video. But in this case, the German has a morale of 8, 6, and 5. The Americans, here are just 2 of them. We have a 7, 6, 7. So 7 is the gunfire range, 7 is the gunfire factor, 6 is the range, and 7 is in this case, is the morale. So you have the other American, which is a 6, 5, 6. So that's the anatomy of a counter. If you notice, a full squad has 3 silhouettes on it, and the second squad has 2 silhouettes on it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the crews. What I have here is I have 2 crews, and generally almost all the crews are 2 3/8. This is an American crew, this is a German crew. And then I do have another 1 SP counter, and this is a bar gunner, which the Americans have, and this is Sergeant Cook. And we'll get into some of the roles of the 1 SP counters, such as the bar counters, on that. So again, the crews, this is a 2 3/8, so 2 gunfire factors, 3 range, and 8 morale. Now, the crews have a couple different things. They're really not meant for their gunfire factors, although you can include them when you are firing them. The crews are really meant to fire your medium machine guns and your heavy weapons. So they're usually taken care of with that. So they have, 2 gunfire factors, but they use those 2 because they're firing off a larger weapon. The 2 won't count on that because they'll be firing those larger weapons. So crews are very important. Crews only have 2 steps, unlike the squad. So you have 1 step, and then if you take a hit on it, there you go down to a 1 3 7. So with that, you generally do not want to take too many hits on the crews. Hits on crews will change the rate of fire, and again, we'll get into that in later videos. Just kind of doing a little with that. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the leaders. I have put 3 leaders here. I have put an officer of both the American and the German. And again, these are older counters. These are the newer ones. So they both work just fine. And as you will see, it works out perfectly. The numbers are the same. So 118s are officers, and they give more modifiers. 117s are NCOs. And just so we have it here, I put some forward observers. These are, again, 1 SP counters. And they are really meant for the off-board artillery or even onboard artillery to fire, to spot for those units. But I wanted to put them on here because they have a lot of times the same stuff. So again, number is 1 gunfire factor, 1 range, and 8 morale. So that's the officers. The leaders also have what's called a leadership modifier. The NCOs, which are the 117s, have a leadership value of 1, and the officers, the 118s or higher, have a leadership modifier of 2s. The leadership modifier can be used for several things: directing attacks of a single fire group, rallying other friendly units, applying its leadership modifier. Instead of firing, it may provide a leadership DRM to the fire group's attack. There are several other uses for leadership abilities, which we'll get to as we cover more topics. One difference a leader has over a squad is that a leader has only 2 steps, and a full leader and a wounded leader. So let's go ahead and flip one of these over here. So then we have our wounded leader. It has the white cross on it. I think this one actually has a red cross on it. So, but you can tell the difference. And you'll notice he went from a 118 down to 117. He is still an officer. He just doesn't have as high of morale as a unwounded officer. And that's basically that's the anatomy of a personnel counter. We have our squads, our leaders, and our single man and crew counters. And as we go through this series, we'll go into more detail on what each one can do and how much, and some of the advantages and disadvantages and features each one has. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the anatomy of a unit, please put them in the comments. In the next video, we will start moving on to movement. So how do we get these guys to attack these guys across the map? Thank you very much. Have a great day.